The world is facing not one, but two once-in-a-lifetime events. A pandemic the likes of which has not been seen since 1918, and a deep recession the likes of which hasn't been experienced for several hundred years. How should we collectively respond? The pandemic and the recession are often described as unprecedented today, but there are precedents. We need to go back in history, economic history in particular, to examine those events, how the policymakers of the time responded, and learn what we can do now in the present.
The pandemic is, by its very nature, unpredictable. But as economists, this is not good enough. We need a frame of reference. We need something with which to compare the current pandemic if we are to hope to understand its full ramifications. The Spanish flu pandemic, which led to over 50 million deaths worldwide, is an appropriate frame of reference because it was a pandemic of a similar scale and had a similar impact on the way people interacted and were forced to act. We are able to track the full course of this historical disease from its origins through to its transmission and then all the way to its conclusion. We can even look at the long-run consequences of that pandemic on health outcomes into adulthood and onto the structure of the economy. Economists cannot do this alone. We need to work closely with people in other disciplines, medical historians, historical geographers, and epidemiologists. We can do things by looking at the past that we can't do with the current pandemic because we are still in the midst of it.
What can historical recessions teach us about what to expect in terms of how long it takes to exit a recession, and what, if any, policies can help accelerate this exit? So if we look back at advanced economies over the last 150 years, we see that the average length of a recession is about 1.5 years. The main lesson we learn from these historical recessions is that monetary and fiscal stimulus play an important role in exit strategies. However, care must be taken to not withdraw the stimulus too soon, as this can have negative consequences, as we saw with America in the 1930s. The experiences of historical recessions have also taught us that the ability of governments to address recessions is much more limited when a country enters a recession with high levels of public debt. One of the most important insights that economic history has offered us is that productivity has been the main driver of growth since the Industrial Revolution. However, in the decade or so prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, productivity has actually been abnormally low. Therefore, for us to successfully exit this COVID-19 recession, policymakers are going to have to work to address this productivity problem.